go. All right. G'day, everyone. Welcome back to the Snake Catchers podcast. I'm Brett, and I'm here, of course, with Dan, as always. And today we're back with another guest episode. We have got Dr. Josh Llinas with us today, Australian reptile veterinarian. And yeah, he's very kindly gonna, talk all things reptiles with us today. So thanks for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
You've
be down here, just down from Brisbane for a couple of days.
Yeah, you've been down here and you're staying with us at the moment.
I am.
So
thank you.
yeah, nice and convenient.
It's worked very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we might as well get straight into it. You're from the US originally?
Yep.
So you grew up in New York,
Yeah,
it?
Grew up in New York City, moved here in 99, finished my undergrad work in the States, and then moved back here in 2004. Since then, never went back.
Yeah. So growing up in America, did a young Josh, was this the dream of becoming a vet, or were there sort of other things in motion as well?
Nope, it's always been
this.
Yeah, I think I was told when my parents told me, I said I was going to be a vet when I was 5, and I think when I was 12 or 13, I said I was going to be a reptile vet. Which was a very strange thing for my family because nobody had any inclination on that at all. I worked in a pet store, got kind of hooked on it, and then started getting in vet clinics, and because I took all the Gumby animals that came through, and nobody knew how to fix them. My parents bought me a book, the infamous Mater Reptile Medicine Surgery. Brilliant book. It was the kind of original modern medicine for reptiles, and 14, I was reading it, and because my bearded dragon, which I had a bearded dragon, which was probably one of those ones that came over back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And, yes, I was in the 80s and actually even in the 70s. They got it for me, read it, got hooked, and my career went towards vet. And really, there wasn't a path to become a reptile vet at that point.
Yeah, okay.
And that kind of happened much later on.
Yeah, so that was obviously still pretty...
But I still wanted to be, so...
Still, obviously early days as well. Yeah. So you studied in the US?
Did my undergrad in the US, did my veterinary degree here. Did my postgrad, so I did a master's through Murdoch, and then I did my boards for specialist, American board of specialists back through the US.
Yeah.
American board,
Yeah, nice.
They don't offer here, so one day.
one day they might get around to it.
Yeah.
So you came over in 99, you said?
I did.
Yep.
Just before 2000, and when everything went crazy.
Yep. Have you only lived up in Queensland since coming to Australia?
Yeah, moved to Brisbane for uni, and then been there ever since. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
27 years now.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah. We won't get into how I got my visas and any of that. It was all good.
Long story.
But
you got them, so that's the main thing.
Yep. And then we ended up living up in Brisbane. I've been in the same western suburbs for the whole time. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
You haven't quite got that Queensland accent yet.
No, I'm losing my Queens accent and then moving towards the Queensland accent, but probably will never have. I get called all sorts of things because it sounds all weird, and so I never listen back to any of this because it's got some weird crossover accent that's a bit funny. So
that's a bit funny. Yeah. You do get used to listening back to it.
Yeah, I was going to say you get used to listening to me. So yeah,
I've gotten used to listening to them back. Yeah. So now since you've been in Australia, you've become very well known, I'd say, as a reptile veterinarian over here, over your time in Australia.
Maybe. I don't really know. I know within the industry, I'm really passionate about it, so I do tend to meet a lot of people, and fortunately, this has taken me all across the country, which has been great, internationally as well, and it's been a privilege. I'm definitely doing things I never thought I'd be doing, and I feel pretty blessed every day. I mean, I'm down here literally talking about reptiles to other vets and talking to you guys, and somebody's got me to come down here, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'm absolutely
gobsmacked all the time. So
absolutely, yeah. So when you got to Australia, where did that journey start from there? So you get to Australia, where did where did you go from there?
It's probably a good question. And I recently had to think back about my journey to become a reptile vet, I guess. And I mean, what a country to become a reptile vet. I mean, like the diversity here and the collections here and the keepers here. It's a really different world to kind of some of the stuff I knew in the States. Working in the pet stores and then the universities and, wherever I ended up there. Here was very fortuitous where I walked into a pet store. I was a vet already. I'd only just graduated, pretty much. Walked into a pet store and met the owner. And I said, "Hi, I'm Josh. I'm a vet. Love working with reptiles. Can I do anything to help you guys out?" And they said, "Oh, good. You know what? You should meet my kids. They breed black-headed pythons." I'm like, "Cool." So I met the K brothers.
That was the K brothers. Yep.
They took me out there, had a barbecue, met the animals, talked a lot about breeding, which was definitely not my forte.
Yeah.
Because these are species I'd never really worked with before. I started writing care sheets and I started chatting to all their friends and breeders and going out there during different times of year. Just keen interest, and they were really keen on pushing the collection forward with microchipping and testing for preventative diseases and stuff like that. I was like, this is great. So they say, yep, they did that, and then we all became friends. That kind of gave me maybe a little bit of street cred, I guess, because it's a really tight world. Everybody knows each other.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a buddy American coming over here and getting into the reptile world over here, and there was probably not many people doing it. So I got very lucky, and some very nice, people who really helped me out. So got to see some amazing animals, which then allowed me to say to other people that I've seen amazing animals, and then get into the zoo field and the veterinary field, and it just kind of kicked off from there.
Just kicked off from there.
Yeah. I think really big part that initial bit. I stepped in and did it, but they didn't have to offer me all that. So
yeah. I think going to Queensland straight up probably would have given a lot of good opportunities, because there are obviously a lot of bigger breeders up there. I'd say compared to down here. Yeah, I suppose
we've got the climate for it, right? And it's the rules are there that you're able to do it, and it's probably been going on for a little while. But vets were never really involved as much.
Yeah,
I think because that's what I'm trained in, and I think that was what drove me to say, you know what, I think there's an area here that I could probably, I want to do it, so I could probably push forward and do it, and just got lucky enough to have a pawns off.
Yeah.
I got lucky enough to hook up with some people, and then people know people who know people.
Yeah,
and if you're interested in it, it's infectious. So everybody,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how long after coming to Australia did you become herp vet?
Yeah, herp vet was an interesting one. So actually, started the actual separate business. I was working for a group of clinics, the Green Cross practices, and they knew I was keen on exotics, but mainly reptiles, and they gave me the opportunity to kind of start a business within a business, which was great. And I kind of came up with herp vet, which by the way, if you ever use the word herp in a business, you're going to get heaps of spam. I've cured that much herpes. It's Dr. Josh cured my herpes. It comes up all the time. And now with AI, who knows what's going to happen? But herp vet really kind of because of the social media stuff which was coming out around the time, I was able to put cases up, and I really never held back. There was wins, losers, the blood, the guts, the gore, show what was really happening in there, and I thought that was the way I learned and got inspired to it. And I thought that, we need more, so maybe that'll actually inspire even other vets or other, kids who want to go down that track, because I got getting lucky. And I think herp vet allowed me to do that. And then, that lasted about 4 or 5 years. And that kind of reached the end of its life at that stage. I wanted to do more. I wanted to kind of get into my own practice. And then I kind of went into the current group that I was in, the Unusual Pet Vets. And what a perfect way to kind of advance my own skills and work with a bunch of other like-minded vets who also loved exotics, because when you're in a private practice, very often you're the only one who's really keen, which is why you see
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But when you're surrounded by a bunch of other vets who are really keen, you push yourself and you push the medicine, and you try to get better. And reptile medicine in the last 10 years has boomed in terms of what we can offer. It's amazing what is available now. I mean, I just came back from doing an MRI on a dragon for a brain tumor.
Yeah.
It's I never thought I'd be doing that, but the fact is the technology is there, and reptiles, they're not the same, but when you look at them really deeply, they actually do at their base work very similar. You just have to kind of tweak things to make it work for not just that reptile, it's whichever species you're seeing. And that's probably what I love about it. It's like, I don't do just reptiles. It's like, there's what, 12,000 plus extant species.
Yeah.
I could possibly see any one of them at any stage.
Yeah.
And that's invigorating, because you know that what you did on a sea turtle is not going to work on an Pelly. It's it doesn't work, and we know that for a fact, that it doesn't cross over.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, there's endless amount of discoveries to be made.
Oh,
That kind of
absolutely.
excites me
Yeah.
on that stuff.
I guess it's awesome that it's going that way. Like, more coverage with like all the vets and that sort of thing, seeing reptiles and just even I've seen the last, even I don't know, even the last few years really, like the change and all that. And I guess more people are keeping as well. Like, you think probably 20 years ago, well, you talk to older people, older generations and stuff, and it just wasn't. It was a thing, but it wasn't, such a thing. And
Yeah.
obviously the popularity's
And
like
social
grown
media.
and social media, and at least like everything sort of caught up with it a bit, I guess. Like, with the vets and all that sort of, and being like having care there available for your animals and that sort of thing.
100%.
So
Yeah, having it available is one thing, making it accessible in different areas, and then having the training to go with it. I'll be honest, in vet school, we got maybe 2 lectures on reptiles.
yeah, I think Amelia
said the same
Yeah,
thing.
so-
It was very minimal.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's because they weren't trained, which means that, it's not, it's also a field that they don't really think of, to be honest, as
No,
being as big as it is. Funny, when I did Herping and left that, and I opened my own business, it was not that long later that I got contacted by some old business people and said, "Oh, do you want to? Maybe we should do this." I was like, "Not too late," because honestly, they didn't quite get that there's actually a
market for it.
a market and a need, and the volume of people that have reptiles,
Yeah,
and the different levels. One of my one of my most memorable cases is an older lady who has I would say older lady, just yeah, she had a antaresia that had a tumor, and I had never seen a tumor like this. It was in the middle of the liver, liver's long tube in the middle, big blood vessel running right through the middle. Her son had passed away. It was the last thing she had. This was a nearly 40-year-old snake.
yeah.
And it's like, what do you do? It was healthy otherwise looking. I was like, well, either take it out, or we can see if its quality of life is good, or we can talk about the sad bits of euthanasia, which quality of life is all you have to really think about. She said, let's do surgery. So, okay, we'll do surgery. I go in, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this? There was one case on a pine snake in, colubrid somewhere in the States, that had a tumor like this removed. I'm like, okay, but their blood supply is not the same. Great. How are we going to take this out? So I took the tumor out, left certain blood supply, and now it's 2 livers. And it's now 4.5 years later, and the snake's doing absolutely fine. So where that goes is that was not a breeder, that was not a avid reptile keeper. This person is actually one of our biggest, supporters on our Facebook pages and all that. She comments all the time. But she has a love of an individual animal and would go to the end of the earth for it.
Yeah.
And that the emotional bond to a reptile can equally be as much as it is. And I see it all the time with clients who come in who sometimes with mental health issues and agoraphobia and depression, can't get out of bed. And reptiles are incredible pets for them.
Yeah.
The feeling of a snake around your arm and the pressure makes them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Or the fact if they can't get out of bed for 3 days, okay, snake will be okay, or most reptiles will be okay. They don't have to, they get these emotional bonds for many different reasons, and that's why, even though I'm involved in so much research and all the other stuff, I still love the clinical side, because to work with the human animal bond,
Yeah.
that's probably still my biggest, and
Yeah.
I'm not ready to leave that. So it's I'll keep that going for as long as I can.
Yeah. Nice. Just going back quickly,
Hmm.
what year did you start Herb Vet? What?
I cannot remember.
Can't remember?
It was, I think, I started that in 2019, so probably 2014.
Oh, okay.
15.
Yeah.
14 or 15.
14 or 15.
Yeah,
And you did that for 4 or 5 years before?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. I was going to open it up as an individual practice somewhere else. And then I thought, you know what? One of the issues with that was I want to be available, or want to have access to patients 7 days a week. They're probably not sustainable to be the only vet that I'm finding
Working
good
every day.
working every day for a long period. I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of do that. We all kind of do that when we love what we do. But that 7 days a week and having other people to work with, I didn't think it was going to work. So I thought it was a much better idea to work with a group of people who were like-minded. That also, I find when you work in a bubble, you don't push yourself because you don't have time, and you don't have other people to contribute to your knowledge base.
Yeah.
And I thought that was something that I really liked doing, that talking to other vets, getting their ideas and
Bouncing off each other.
yeah. And that happens all the time. Taking stuff from mammalian medicine and avian medicine and bringing it to reptile medicine, because they're reading those papers and I'm reading these papers, and we can actually, okay, that will link up pretty well. I can get that to work for me, because I understand how it will work in those areas. And that's kind of how a lot of the stuff is coming along at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the biggest things with like science and stuff in general, isn't it? Is just being able to talk to people and bounce off and improve and that sort of thing. So you can see how like being in a bubble would be counterintuitive eventually.
You just don't get better faster.
No,
and I think I love, I love putting a question out and getting lots of people's thoughts. And I think the group that I work with at the moment, they're really good at that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I cherish.
Absolutely. I reckon the network that UPV has is outstanding.
Yeah.
Just from hearing from Amelia.
Yeah.
She can literally just ask a question, and then anyone
Yeah.
part of that community can
pipe
offer.
up and get in there, and there's no because it's an individual experience, and that individual experience shapes how you practice.
Yeah.
And if you live in that bubble and you never change it, you're not going to be as good as you could be.
Yeah. Absolutely. So at the time you started Herb Vet, was that the only reptiles only practice at the time in the country?
No.
Or was there?
There was another. There's another vet who was a mentor of mine. So Shane Simpson.
Yes.
So he had the reptile doctor.
Yeah.
And the reptile doctor was very well known. Everybody knew it. He had great Facebook following. He put a lot of cases up, which kind of what I emulated, a lot of what I did.
Yep.
One day I got introduced to him through one of those original connections, and it was at a barbecue, and they said, "Oh, this is Josh. We want you to meet him." Great. We kept in touch, and I went down to his place. I went to his clinic, spent some time there, and watched a little bit. I was again by myself, not just kind of progressing the way I would progress, but it was great to see how somebody else kind of did their full practice, and he didn't have anybody else either over here.
Yeah. Okay.
But what he knew was a lot of the people overseas, and so I started going to conferences overseas, and we would be there. He'd introduce me to people, and that really got me motivated, but also got me to know enough people where they always knew the Australians that would come, and I'm like, yeah, I played the card, and they would always they go, oh, the Australians are here. I'm like, yep. The Australian from Queens who lives in Australia, who's now back in New York, but sure. I said, I'll play the card. It got me what I needed there. No, but it was great people. And these are, again, the people who are on the forefront over there, but also the internationals from the European group, uh, Asian groups. They would all come to these conferences. And so you'd meet so many people, hear all the research, and then that would lead to more ideas, and then eventually friendships and other mentors that would kind of shape who helping to become.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just all about that sort of networking. And
yeah. Well, I was going to a conference and meeting, I met Doug Mader, the guy who wrote Reptile Veterinary Surgery, and I'm like, okay. And funny enough, my dad came to visit that conference and he was there, and he goes, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, that's Dr. Mader, and he's written this book, and remember that book you bought me?" I can tell a story. Actually, I could tell a whole story about this, but it was a moment in time for me to meet the guy who started me on that journey, and then he shook my hand, and then 2 years later, he was the guest speaker at the UPAV Canberra conference.
Yes,
yeah. I walk in, and he goes, "Oh, Dr. Llinas." I'm like, "Dr. Mader?" "Oh, you want to catch up dinner or do whatever?" I'm like, "Sure." And then that conference, because he was the guest speaker, he spoke, I think he did like 11 lectures or something. I was sitting over there, and it was literally just like back and forth, because we're on the same wavelength, I think, at that point. So that was good fun. Yeah, that was a moment in time for me.
And yeah, what an awesome moment it would have been, because again, you were, reading his books and learning off of him from a young age.
He did that book, and then he did the second version, and then there was like an abridged version, and then the third version came out, which was it was called Mader Reptile Medicine Surgery. So they dedicated it to him, but it was different editors now. So that's the street cred he had. And then about 4 weeks ago, I got a call, "Will you write chapters for the new edition coming out?" I was like, "Are you bloody kidding me?"
Bit of a full circle moment.
Yeah, it was. I've got to just pinch myself on that one. That was a very random. Well, I was like, "This is kind of cool," but and you can't say no.
No, you've got to do it.
Can't say no. So, okay. So anyway, so this I never wanted to sound like it's just literally that full circle that came around. So I've been very fortunate, and it was a long road. It's 25 years of it, but it's
come round.
Yeah, came around.
Yeah, I think it was the same for Amelia when she met him at the conference, and then had to present in front of him as well.
I don't like to admit about fanboying. It's a little bit like that. You want to call him now? I can, and that's kind of one of those. If I have a question about a crocodile, or because that's what he does, I'm like, I can.
It's like I can just do that,
and that's kind of special. Not because of who it is because you have got tapped into knowledge.
Other knowledge
that I don't. That's not in a textbook.
No,
that textbook is a broad overview. That's an experience, which is why I'm here at the moment, because I can't convey things in writing. You have to be there and talk about cases and have something in front of you that you can then change or that little tip there. That's how I do that. Great. To make somebody's life easier, and they don't have to make the mistakes that I made, because I've made plenty, and I will continue to make mistakes, because that's the only way that you learn. But you just got to learn from that.
No, that's
try not to do it too many. That's any job, right?
That's any job.
It's anything in life. Yeah, you just got to learn. As long as you're learning from stuff, you're getting better, essentially. So
100%. Yeah. My job, I hope I never stop learning.
Yeah.
Very unlikely.
Yeah.
Very unlikely.
There's always something new.
Oh, there is. And just like, with breeding and keeping, the good keepers they're not doing the same thing they did 10 years ago.
No.
And working with keepers who really do push that and go, I reckon I could do better than that. That's the one. That's what I like.
Yeah, well, you notice it, especially in reptiles, I guess. You look back and you see either old videos on YouTube or photos or something like that from the late 90s.
Back in the day,
how they used to.
Back in the day, in the 90s.
Well, it is now. And you just see the keep. I mean, there's probably nothing wrong with it as such, but just like things that have changed with how people keep stuff
And
these days.
they had to start somewhere.
And like, and once again, back then the information, not that like, especially before the internet or something too. Like it's even relying on books, and like when we talked to Darren the other week, when an older fella, I shouldn't call him an older fella, but when he first started, there was no, like he just relied on books, and like it depends what sort of book you get as to what you're getting out of it too.
100%. And but reading those books and then looking at your animals and trying to interpret and then use that information to do the best you can with it. And then if there's something that does go wrong, observing it and doing it, I think, and good keepers are great observers. And I call it observation medicine because I see, and I was talking about pet stores today, that, people are like, oh, pet stores, and, pet stores can go really wrong. But a good pet store will know how to manage those animals in a way to keep welfare up and quality of life and all those sort of things. But I think you can never, a good keeper back then, may not be, they would look at their practices now and go, maybe not. But at the time, you deal with the best information you have. Same with vet medicine. Like right now, I can guarantee I'm going to look back in 10 years and go, what was I doing? And that's sad. But in hindsight, you can only do what you can do. And we can. But if somebody tells you there's a better way to do it for this reason, and you don't take that on board at all, then you're probably that's when you run into trouble.
But again, always learning, always progressing, always moving forward. And again, it's going to happen, particularly with reptile medicine, as new things are discovered and learned. And
100%. And I wish I probably quoted this paper way too many times in the last 2 weeks. I'm such a nerd.
Nothing wrong with that.
So I think this is where it gets really interesting, and because we're seeing the reptiles in a whole new light. Technology has been great, AI has been great. It allows us to do research a lot better. But there's a really cool paper about microarchitecture of snake skin. So the ball python, Python regius, they look at the scale and they compare it, and on the scale, doing really, really accurate electron microscopy, feels smooth. If you ever felt a ball python, feels smooth.
I haven't, no, I can imagine.
I have. I'm fortunate. I've had ball pythons and zoos and all that have it. On it, if you look at it, there's thousands of spikes on the surface of the scale. Okay, you would not think that. Not every species has this, but they all have their version of some form of microarchitecture. What was really cool was that they compared it to like a piece of plastic that's smooth, and they compared the scale, which felt smooth, and they seeded it with bacteria. And that bacteria, somewhere between 75 and 89% less of it would stick to the scale. Which makes sense for an animal that lives on the ground, that's moving around, that's constantly being damaged and bombarded with bacteria and fungi. So put it on, and the slope of the scale, the bacteria roll off. Or in some cases, maybe even they were so sharp they would stab the bacteria and destroy it.
That's nuts.
Right. So why are they looking at that? Because they're looking at things like bandaging and artificial and skin grafts, and now you can print in nanotechnology. So they're looking at possibly printing these sort of patterns to make things less. It'd be clothing, it could be bandage materials, so that bacteria stick less. So the use of reptiles and the understanding and how their specialization, and I mean millions and millions of years of evolution, have made them so specialized and survive in these harsh environments. By looking deeper into it, you can actually use that technology to help us. Which gives them a value, which makes what we do and it much cooler in certain realms. So I love that when you can look at a value of that and kind of elevate it so other people also see it, but maybe from a different light. So anyway, that was a very cool paper. And I was like, I only read it the other day, and I'm doing some talks on wound management. I'm like, well, right, what happens with snakes? What if we put them on substrates that are too rough, and maybe it's wearing that down? Right? What if we're doing stuff that makes them shed too infrequently, and so they don't have that architecture there anymore? What if when we're cleaning them for surgery, we're scrubbing them to clean them for surgery? What if we make them more susceptible? And that could be different for each species. So what I'm saying is that we don't know yet, but the deeper we look, we're going to find some pretty cool stuff there.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah,
so that was me nerding out for a second. Sorry, guys, but
no,
this is what I do.
That's cool. I didn't know that, so if I can learn something out of these talks,
right.
good.
But I didn't know that 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Like but if I didn't, now maybe more people. But anyway,
that's the thing. Like I just saying, like you sort of put a value a bit to like reptiles and that sort of thing. It kind of can potentially change people's mind on them.
100%. And things like conservation.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe reptiles kind of get the short end of the stick.
They do
a little bit. Sorry, koalas. I know you get it all, but I love you. But my little Nanger skinks, which I'm doing, repopulation breeding so that we can actually get this critically endangered species back out there. Why is that one little species important? Well, we might not even know yet, right? It might be that they hold the key to something else, regenerative medicine that we don't know. They grow their tails back, right? Like a lot of skinks do.
Yeah.
What if they're the ones that crack the code?
So
yes, I want to save them for the reptile reason, and that's the selfish. But at the same time, I see that if we can perpetuate that idea that there's more to them that might be beneficial, that's with all ecology and all conservation work. We know they have a niche and they have a reason there, so we're protecting them, even if we don't know why yet. I think it's important that
100%.
Important to protect them because again, you might figure that out. In a year, in 10 years, in
that species saves that species, which we are all destroying very quickly. So that you take one cog out of that could really down the line
damage
everything else.
Everything.
And that could be a grass. It could be, an insect that is the food for one. What it's like, thornies that only eat one species of ant.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just great.
But if you listen to Facebook, we could take away all the venomous snakes in Australia and it wouldn't matter.
Oh yeah, definitely. we could.
That's the kind of stuff we cop on our pages.
I get it. Like we get it all the time. It's like, oh, we don't need snakes. New Zealand doesn't have snakes. And what
they do fine.
Like, do you know geography?
No, it doesn't work. And you take that away. It's I do work with the Venom lab and evolution of venom, and we're looking, obviously looking into things that are, I don't do direct. I'm kind of like a way out cog that gets to be involved on the veterinary side.
Yeah.
But I get to see some of this pretty amazing research going through that shows you that the chemical properties of different venoms, of course, and how specialized. I think there was the one paper that came out that one I was a little more involved in, where the Tuliqua are pretty well, Easterns at least, are completely resistant to red belly black venom. Like,
just completely.
So that was a paper that came out of that lab.
Yeah.
Right. And so why is that? Okay, so anti-venom venoms that can be developed, or things that might be able to be developed off of that. Like that's okay. So that's you wipe them out. You might be wiping out potential cure for your kid who gets bitten by something. Like, it's too short-sighted.
Yeah.
It's Dr.
Fry.
Is he still up there?
Yeah. He just sent me a message saying he's got a talk coming on, which I'm going to try to watch.
He'd be a good one to get on the podcast.
He would be. He would be.
A different dude, isn't he?
Oh, he's great. He's great. And it's a very passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to go a long way.
I heard one story. I can't remember where he told it, but it was about when he got bitten by a death adder. And he said it's like one of the best experiences of his life. He said it's just like a never-ending trip. Like, just
I remember that one.
Acid. He's like, I don't want this to end, but he's like dying. But like, he's having this massive trip to a death adder.
I think you hear that a lot from people who've experienced things. That it's like, if you can appreciate what you're experiencing at the time,
that's the thing. Isn't it?
That's actually firsthand. Okay, that account, if you're taking it from a scientific point of view, gives a lot of insight to what chemicals are doing at that moment in time. So I can say I've never been bitten by anything venomous that was of any consequence. And I plan not to.
Yeah.
That's not in my repertoire. I do handle and I do, but I'm also that's you guys. That's good on you, because I need you guys to keep me safe. It's great.
Try to.
We struggle to keep ourselves safe.
Yeah.
Nah.
I won't say you're slightly mad, but it's great. I mean, but it's, you watch competent handlers, and it's just another snake, and it's just reading language and knowing when to get
Yeah.
yourself involved and when not.
Yeah.
So watching competent handlers is a thing of beauty.
He's
Somebody
just gone
just-
back in. Yeah,
somebody
he's
just
just gone
flunked
back in
back
the
in.
water there.
Crocodile going
Yeah.
into the water.
Okay, who else gets to sit in a room surrounded by snakes and a crocodile jumps into a pool?
Winning.
Life's complete.
Not many. Going back to something we were talking about the other day, which will sort of come back nicely into this. We were talking about the translocation of snakes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what you were doing with them up in was
Yep,
it
in Queensland.
Queensland?
Yep,
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some work being done with a PhD student that I was working with. I was helping with radio tracker implantation so that we can track to see what happens when snake catchers were moving. They were all Morelia spilota. So they were all various sizes, different areas, male, female, and they would move them and track them over time. And a lot of movement back towards original zones, a lot of crossing of roads, and we'd get a lot of snakes that would move and then come back and get nailed by cars and stuff like that, which was quite disheartening, because obviously everybody's trying to do the best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll defer to the PhD student who did a really good job on that project. I think that they could probably talk more about it, but yeah, in the end, it was like, oh, we need to be thinking about how we're managing those relocations.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we obviously talked about that sort of side of things a fair bit. Like we sort of a lot of the time we try and talk people out of it. A lot of the time, like depending on the situation of it. Obviously, it changes when a snake inside or
Yeah, of course.
in a situation, but like just sort of almost explaining to like a customer or something what the go is, and especially if they can't see, you sort of just push through, just wait and see what happens or something.
It's probably
like that.
moved on already.
Yeah, it's
or,
probably moved on or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
And then quite often, like you never hear back, and you just, ignorance is bliss, but you just assume that he probably just did move on himself, and it's sorted. And
Well, they're smart enough to avoid situations that they don't wanna
Exactly,
be
yeah.
in, so
yeah,
I think, yeah, absolutely. And I think we just don't know enough yet, but I
Yeah.
think it's what it's showing us is that we need to be aware that just moving them is not enough. And there's a lot more thought process as to that moving.
Yeah.
And I think we're tip of the iceberg.
yeah.
yeah,
And that's, I
absolutely.
think that's the thing that gives me the shits with like people that don't do. There's people out there that don't do the right thing. And like we'd say all the time, like sometimes it'll take us 10 seconds to catch a snake, and then it'll take 25, half an hour on Google Maps trying to find
Of course.
somewhere decent to go. Then you go there and there's houses there, or you go somewhere else and it's not feasible. And a lot of the time, like if you think about over the season, there's probably spent more time looking for spots to take them than actually
catching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, obviously in some areas it's harder than others, like the more urban sprawl there is and that sort of thing. And it's not just snakes, like it's other,
Oh yeah.
other marsupials and, other animals that cop it too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've really split up the landscape. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, you see koala crossing and roo crossing, and wild horses are here. When's the last time you saw a snake might be crossing?
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean about the reptiles. Getting that little bit of it's not really thought about. But there's hot spots for where reptiles are going to be hanging out, and I can't remember. You might see one for a tortoise or something if you're in like.
You see, there's actually a few in the Barossa
Florida.
for turtles, like in the Barossa. There's certain areas, and they'd like people just put little cardboard signs up in the sea and to say, "Watch out, turtles," and
That's
stuff like that, which is cool. But like once again, it's down to like a random person just putting up a cardboard sign. It's not it's not like it's the government or
the council
or the council something actually giving a shit or anything like that. It's just like one person that actually cares doing it, and it's,
hopefully that person runs for council.
yeah.
Like we were saying, I think more sort of research into that translocation side of things would be nice, particularly with elapids.
Oh yeah.
Well,
again, because
sort of
that's really where it becomes. I mean, there is a danger involved. Families and dogs, and you do have to be careful. But the So it'd be nice to know a little bit more. And I think there's been some work now on the movement of reptiles or how they respond to things in urban environments, like noises and vibrations and all that. So there's that to consider. What if you can put it somewhere, but you've got something over there that's actually forcing them to go a different direction now because they're avoiding or going towards because they hear and see very differently than we do. So
even like people just get this mentality that they're simple-minded kind of things, and they're far from it.
Far from it.
And it's just because they can't show emotion or they don't show emotion like we do. People think about them differently, and it's not until you only get a glimpse of it when you work with them, you can sort of work out that there's a bit going on, especially if you're working with high-end lapids like Eastern Browns and that sort of thing. You just
Taipans.
Taipans.
Oh yeah.
And you just sort of see them like switched on, like seeing, thinking sort of thing. And this, I guess, like the average person doesn't see that, but
no, and that comes with time.
Yeah.
And the more you spend time with a certain type of animal, you start to learn their behaviors a bit. And I was giving a talk on stress in reptiles, and you'll see that some reptiles, and just use a bearded dragon as an example, simple, in terms of everybody can have them. They're pretty easy to keep. Why are some really timid and hide all the time while others will be really, come out and be really social, or others that will avoid certain foods. So I always try to make the point that reptiles have personalities.
Yeah.
And what is a personality? It's just basically an accumulation of all your experiences in life that are making you make that decision.
Yeah.
That's all your personality is, right? You've had experiences and then you're reacting to something. Every animal has that.
Yeah.
And reptiles absolutely have that. And it might take longer for that to develop, or you might not see it in the same way, but it's certainly there.
Yeah.
And you can see some that are, super stressed, always running away in the consult room, and others that are, coming up and bloody, resting their head on your arm. And they will, the same type of animal will do the same thing repeatedly, where others will stay stressed, and maybe they've got little kids that are picking them up all the time, and they smell something different. And they see the world different. Reptiles see the world differently. They see more color. They hear different sound, sound waves. They
at a completely different level to like
100%.
how people obviously like you forget that they're all the way down there, and like everything's just a different different levels.
Different.
Yeah.
So I think we just have to accept that they are. And what is intelligence? Intelligence is not what we consider. It's like they can be intelligent in certain things that are much better than what we do.
Yeah.
And so they're intelligent in different ways. So that's why we love them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Going back
Oh yeah.
to your journey now.
Oh,
so
God. Yeah.
we'll get back to that.
But I'm almost done with my beer.
I can get you another one.
That's fine.
You finished up Herp Vet.
Yep.
Did you go to UPV after that?
Yep.
So that was your start of your UPV journey?
That was 2019. Yep.
2019?
Yep.
And you've been with them since, essentially?
To now, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I've changed, my role has changed a little bit, and I'm doing a lot more research and education. And still consulting, but I'm doing a lot of zoo work and conservation work is kind of where I've now moved, because the vets are, we've got a lot of great vets and they're all doing great reptile medicine. And so I can kind of go towards an area that is maybe a little bit more niche. And on probably one of my big passion projects is our little Nanger skinks, Nanger spinosa. I love them. Little dirt dogs. Dirt dogs. That's for you, Dan and Lisa. And I think we are, getting out in the field and moving genetics around and trying to preserve a species. And we've got them in captivity now. We're breeding. We've just split into a second group, so now we've got two two separate groups. It literally happened yesterday, which while I was here.
Of course.
So I feel a little bit bad, but anyway, they got it all done. It looks great. And I'm doing their veterinary management, and there's some definitely, we're keeping them in more natural environments. We're not doing sterile indoors. We're keeping them outdoors.
Yeah.
Using soil. We're using, so things that would be considered a little bit risky, but, I think it's essential for an animal that you're going to be breeding and then re-releasing. You don't want them to come from a sterile environment, which don't even get me started on microbiomes and keeping their skin and gut and mouth flora, bacteria, fungi, at a balance. As soon as you move an animal into captivity, that's going to slowly shift over time, and their immune system's going to change, and their ability to handle pathogens is going to change. And so we're thinking about all these things, and we've had great success. We've got, I think there's not a lot of these animals left, and we've probably, we're kind of getting about 20 to 35 new ones a year. They're live breeders. What we call, I think they're post-nuptial. So they breed, and then right after they parturition, so that babies come out, usually 1 to 4, sometimes 5. We've had the odd 6, which is gets complicated. And then they will right away, they will breed again. The girls take them by the tail, drag them in, and we're starting to learn a bit about that, but it's that's a great project. And then some working with Bellinger River snapping turtles, and some of the other sea turtle work now just gets me all over the place, and that's the sort of stuff that I think I can probably contribute the most to now. Where in practice I can certainly do, but it's great. We've got so many other great reptile vets now. That it's not relying on one person to do. It's a whole network of vets who are keen on helping reptiles. So that's really nice.
And
I get to do other stuff.
And again, the UPV network is fantastic as 100%. Well. So
we're not advertising, but it's really it's changed the landscape of exotic pet medicine. And I think that's a big shout out, big kudos to the guys who created it.
So when you started at UPV, is that when they initially started the franchise?
They had already, not really franchise, but they had already started. They had the Western Australian clinics and then the Melbourne clinic, and then I think we came in right after Melbourne. And and then I think it went. Where did we go? Where'd they go after that? I think we've got Sydney, Canberra, Sunny Coast.
You've got a few. There's a few now, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there's 12 or 13.
Yeah, right.
Which is a pretty big group in terms of exotics.
Oh, absolutely.
And in Australia, where I don't think anything like this exists anywhere else.
No.
So you're talking about standalone practices that are amazing, but not so much a network. Which I love. I love having however many of the vets there that I can kind of fall back on and have a chat. I mean, I still see other species too. I mean, I'll see rodents and birds, and which I love doing, and it's great. But my area is mainly reptiles, and it's great to learn from the avian vets as to what's progressing there. And I love referring to it as avian reptiles and non-avian reptiles, because that's often how they're referred to in some of the research. You go, because birds and reptiles are not that different. In many aspects, they're just very different in the way their metabolisms and their, I guess, basic function is, but at the same time, there's a lot of similarities.
Well, you only have to look at like a lace monitor or something like that and see how they look around and look at things. It's very their face is very bird-like how they look at things.
And I love working on chickens with them. I mean, they are as close as I ever will get to work on a dinosaur. Which I get to work with dinosaurs every day. Like, chickens are freaking cool, and they have amazing personalities, and they're, I think, severely underrated. And I live in a townhouse complex, and they will not let me have chickens. And I played the vet card, and they still will not let me have chickens. So
you'll get there.
Yeah,
you'll get there. So we'll go on to a few reptile cases.
Oh God!
Specifically, I suppose venomous snake.
Oh yeah.
cases.
Yeah.
Again, we were talking about one the other day when I picked you up from the airport about the death adder.
Yep.
That was a very interesting.
Yeah, that was
a very interesting case.
Remus. Yes, that was a very interesting case. Remus came to me from one of my clients who actually a snake catcher and also an educator. And Remus had been pregnant. At this point, she weighed 1.25, 1.3, maybe 1.4 kilos.
That's a big death.
Yeah, no kidding. She's a unit. And we ultrasounded her and we saw the babies. I could see the heartbeats and I could see them moving around. And I'm like, this is freaking cool. And then she had the babies and she had 44 or 45 of them. Yeah. A couple of stillbirths to be expected. But she wasn't eating. She still didn't seem she still seemed a little bit full. So we ultrasounded her again and I found another 3 or 2. No, 3. And they were moving. I could still see a heartbeat on at least one of them. I gave her a little bit of time and she didn't pass them. So we sedated her, did a bit of a cloacal exam. That's what we do. And I could feel, I ultrasounded her, x-rayed her, and I could see her. And I would say, okay, well, that's right at the end. So I went in and I was actually able to manipulate that live, or so dead. It was dead at this point, but it was pretty freshly dead. From the cloaca, we got it out. But she still had 2 others much further up. And on the x-ray, they were really stretched out, which is, they should, still be confined.
Yeah.
So we ended up having to take her to surgery. And we took her to surgery and one of them at least had already come out of its sac and it had migrated up and it was like nearly under the heart.
Jeez.
And it had kind of swam up and it died there.
Yeah.
So I was able to fish it out, get it out, flush it, get the other one out. And they were pretty rotten at this point. And so I was a bit worried for her because that's
infection
usually
or something.
Yeah. 100%. And I swabbed it. There was heaps of infection there.
Yeah.
And she had already had, I think she had 48 in the end. Maybe
maybe
more, maybe a couple less. They're all doing great at the moment. So anyway, flushed her out, did that, and it took a while for her to start eating. She finally started taking feeds, and yeah, she recovered from that one. So that was a great win on that. But at the same time, 48.
That's a lot.
Please write in or comment or do whatever you can do on these things, and let me know if you've ever seen a death adder that's had that many.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any record of it, so I think it could be a record.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty intense, and I've got heaps of videos I can show you later of the babies feeding now and cold tail luring, and they're just sweet little things.
Was it a locality snake or just a don't know what area
is
or what species or
subspecies? No sub. They were. What do you have here?
I've got rough scales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was. What's the main one? The Antarctic is.
Just common death adder.
Common death adder.
Yeah. That's a ridiculous amount of babies.
She's a big snake. I've got a photo of her on my scale, and she's a big snake.
Yeah.
And she's usually very well behaved. Usually. Yeah, and he's got a tiger and a red belly, and then they're all usually
bits and pieces.
Tiger's a bit.
Tiger's hit and miss.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Typical of tigers.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I get lucky enough to work with some of these, and seen all sorts. So yeah, I'm pretty fortunate, and because a lot of people won't see them, there's a risk involved, and that is something I have to consider, both for the staff and for myself, and for the clients. You're asking them to come in and take their animal out of a comfort environment, bring it into an area that smells like, can smell like prey items and things that. We've got birds, we've got rodents, we've got things coming through. I've got rooms that are sealed off, and we've got some pretty good protocols just in case.
Yeah.
But things can happen.
Still a bit of a snake at the end of the day.
It really is, and my hope is that my keepers are just happy enough that I'm happy to see them, and because there's liability involved, and so something I've got to be really cautious of. So I don't do a lot of handling myself. It's not, to be honest, it's not worth it. If I get bitten directly, then I'm all for work, which means I can't help any other animal. So I kind of look at it like that, and I also feel that keepers know their animals better, which means that they're usually going to be less stressed, and handle them more definitively, so that and less risk. And they do it at home all the time, so I do think it's safer often for keepers to handle their own in there, and their tubing.
So especially with like sort of updates with how people do all that stuff, obviously the clear tubes we use now, sort of makes it a lot easier to assess
restrain.
So we do that. We restrain. We do minimal stress. If we have to, we sedate while they're in there, and then we can anesthetize if we need to. But yeah, initially, I do have a no free handling rule in the clinic. It's tube it or you can't come in.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got to get to the head, and I prefer not to head hold. We certainly avoid pinning if we can.
Yeah.
And it's usually just really minimal stress. Stress handling. Try to have everything ready so that we're not having to tube them for any longer than we need to. Get our samples back inside and call it a day.
Yeah.
Just minimal contact.
Yeah, minimal contact.
Possible.
That's the way it should be. But yeah, it takes preparation, and it takes and little by little you adjust the protocols to make it as safe as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's one of the things I found.
Mulgars, bloody hell, they put so much venom on the table. It's so bloody sticky. It's like a tap.
Yeah.
It just keeps coming.
Yeah. It's like, God. I remember the first time I saw it, I said, "You've got to be kidding me."
No.
Like, oh, you just watched. I think the guy said, yeah, the father of this one is like in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most venom taken from volume from a snake. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me."
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. Mulgars are kind of like that.
Yeah.
I like it. They're probably my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, ours too, I think.
They're definitely my favourite.
Yeah.
It's definitely one we've talked about, sort of trying to get a few localities of in captivity. So they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool snakes.
They really are.
Sorry,
you were saying?
No, it's all right. Forgot now. Yeah, sort of more to even when I first started, just I soon realised, more so when I started snake catching too, when you come across a snake that's injured, and then it sort of dawned on me, I'm like, shit, there's no especially out where I'm in the Barossa, luckily I've got one vet there who will see, they don't even look at reptiles generally, I don't think, but they'll look after wildlife if they can.
Good.
And the lady who runs the place has a bit of an interest in it, so it's as good as it would get. But even then, they can only really do like a consult or euthanasia pretty much. So if there's something that needs to be fixed, they probably wouldn't do it, but they'd probably tell me what probably would need to be done. Then I'd probably have to bring it down to you guys or something like that down here. But yeah, it's sort of it's hard. Even when I first started keeping, you're sort of trying to find most of the time nothing really goes wrong, but you're trying to find some way to take a snake.
And
in fact, even when I first started keeping, it was sort of what was that, the Adelaide exotic bird and vets? Whatever it is, exotics and birds or whatever, on down. I don't remember, Moreland or something like that.
Yeah.
One there, and then there was that other one. It was where Millie used to work.
Yeah.
Those were the only two I knew of, and there were only one vet at each that would look at snakes.
Far from the way, yeah.
So even for me, driving away from the Barossa to get something seen. Likely it was only once or twice I had to do it, but it's definitely, and at least it's getting better. Obviously, there's another clinic now with that, so it's good that it's becoming more common, more help out there for people, because
I think the vet's job is to triage it as best as possible, and I would 100% get the not seeing venomous.
Yeah.
If you're not going to see reptiles in general, you can probably see things that are probably not going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then I think that added risk is understandable why vets would not see it.
Yeah.
And so I think we need more keepers and catchers to I guess be involved in the process because but there's also, I mean, catchers often have their own liability insurances and all that sort of stuff to kind of help out with that. But there's going to be some risk. You go in the clinic and things can happen. Somebody gets bit, snake gets out. I can see why, but I think it's certainly, in my mind, a vet's duty in a way, especially when it comes to euthanasia for painful and non-curable conditions. I think it's something that should be done when possible. But I get when it's not.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. No,
it's one of those things.
Yeah.
One thing is putting a blue tongue on the table, and another thing going,
here's
a 1.4 kilogram,
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't do. I mean, I've had people rock up with cardboard box and go, "Oh yeah, I found this snake and I put it in the box for you," and you're like, "Yeah,
this could be anything."
That's a juvenile eastern, and it's got the beautiful red nape or whatever. Yeah, please be your neighbor, red nape. But no,
it's an
like 3 holes in the box. You're like, how'd you get here? Oh yeah, I drove. It was in my back seat. I'm like, great.
Is it still in the box?
Yeah, happens.
Oh yeah.
We have a rule that nobody opens a unknown box in the front, and you always do it in a secure room just in case,
because you don't know.
It's not practice.
You do not know.
Yeah.
It's I'm sure it's a carpet python. No, it's not a carpet python. I'm sorry. 9 times out of 10, if it's not a carpet python, at least for us, it's a keelback.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because obviously up there you guys have a lot more different species than we get down here.
We got a lot of species, and and it could be anything coming through. It's nice when it's like some sort of like legless lizard or something. And like, that's an easy one.
That's fine. That's fine. Whereas if it happens down here, I'd say 90% of the time it's going to be an eastern brown snake.
Yeah, which is amazing. That's I probably have to brush up on my skills then.
Yeah, it's literally like I mean, Brett catches a few more red bellies than I do generally, but
they're cool.
Yeah, I get excited when I get to catch a red belly, and like obviously, the anxiety drops a little bit when you hear it's a red belly. You're like, oh yeah, everything sort of drops a little bit. It's not so. I mean, yeah.
Well, let me ask then, because you guys are seeing more. I was out bushwalking not long ago, which probably is a year ago because it's probably that long. I saw a red belly. I was following it, and I've got a video of it, which...
You mean it wasn't following you?
No, it wasn't following me.
Who would have thought?
So there was a kind of a reservoir,
yeah,
and it was kind of coming up the hill, and I was just going up the path, and I could see him coming up the hill, and then all of a sudden it spotted me, and it did a 180. And it went dead straight, like a solid stick, and went straight down that hill back into the water, like a bullet. I've never seen that behavior before.
Yeah,
It was like locked on, it looked like an arrow.
Yeah, right.
And it went down. I've never seen anything go that fast in my life, and it was a good steep hill.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like it went down. It went dead
just
straight,
yeah,
like an arrow straight back into the water.
Yeah.
Anybody see that before? I've never seen that before.
I've probably seen like similar sometimes when you release, if they're like ready to go and you just tip them out of the bag and they sort of take off, but it's sort of probably not like dead straight.
No,
and probably the angle of the hill which allowed them to do it.
Yeah,
but before I could even see what happened, it was gone.
It was gone.
It was gone.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I was filming it going up, and then I saw it turn, and I stopped filming for a second, and it just
disappeared.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was one of my. Yeah, it's not uncommon. Yeah, we come across red bellies when we're walking. And, Easterns. So tigers to see it.
Get a couple of tigers.
Tigers up, kind of in I was up in O'Reilly's National Park doing some. I think it was the border trail.
Yeah.
And it was up there, and we saw this. It was a good size female with a little juvenile curled up inside of it. It was freezing out, and I called somebody who I knew. He said, "Oh yeah, that happens up there." So were you on border track? I'm like, yes. He goes, oh yeah, they're up there. I'm like, okay. I'd never seen one before, and it was I've got a photo of it. Again, it was curled up inside. I thought that was really unusual behavior.
It is, yeah, it's very unusual because,
Yeah.
like, you know, you just sort of, like we say all the time, they're solitary,
Yeah.
like leopards.
I'll find the photo because it's
Yeah.
a really cool photo that really showed a different behavior that
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
I think we just don't know a lot of things because we see them these moments in time.
Yeah.
What they do that another 99% of the time, I think, is kind of why we do this.
Yeah.
We go out herping just to go and see what they're doing.
Just observe stuff and see what they're doing in the wild.
Because
herping, not herpes. Wow,
up until now, like, the only species we know that has any sort of maternal instinct is king cobra. That actually builds a nest and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, who knows what else is out there? But yeah,
I mean, we know that pythons will generate heat and keep their clutches warm, and they will stick around and do that, and then vibrating behaviors and things like that. So yeah, I think that this is that observational. I call it observational medicine because you can always tie it back to something medical that I can kind of latch onto. But yeah, I see behaviors and I go, oh, I wonder if they do that in the wild, and how would that help them?
Yeah,
because we kind of limit what they can do. We don't give them enough choice.
Yeah,
because it's actually too dangerous too. We've got to supply them with variation, but not too much because it's not going to be perfect.
Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What time are we at?
An hour and 6.
An hour and 6.
But don't push me. I can talk forever. No, I love this sort of stuff. It's nice to see perspectives and
Yeah,
I'm down in Adelaide talking reptiles, and this is,
can't go wrong.
Yeah, can't. Flying out tomorrow morning and going, okay, so that was a great couple of days.
Yeah,
go back up and talk about more reptiles.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing this week.
What day did you get down here?
Yesterday.
I picked you up.
Oh no,
Wednesday evening.
Afternoon. Yeah. So Wednesday morning I got up about 4 o'clock. I look after an aquarium. So I went to the aquarium, did like 7 to 11. I'm about to leave, and I get a call from the zoo saying, "Oh, one of our lizards has brushed his nose." I'm like, "Yeah, I could probably get there before my flight in an hour and a half." So drive there, quickly looked there, took some samples. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll look at them when I get to the clinic on the other end." So I went to the clinic there, I took the samples there, and I better call them tonight and let them know what I found. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind
tour.
Right?
Yeah.
I would have loved to stay down here longer, so probably next time.
Like I said, if you stay down here longer, we'll go out and see a few people, see some collections, and
we'd look forward to it.
All that sort of stuff.
At least you get to see a pretty crappy one here.
Oh yeah,
yeah, no,
it's horrid. Absolutely. No, it's been great.
It's sitting here halfway through a podcast and a freshy crocodile cruising to the pool. It's pretty cool. So.
Yeah. And
you got a couple of healers back there, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Parks went, so it's fine.
It's always good. I love seeing collections. I love seeing how people do things. And as a vet, and I've tried to explain this a lot of times too, is that without going out and seeing how they're actually kept, you might see a photo. You might say, somebody's like, I've got this temperature and this temperature. I'm like, but do you really? Because you don't know.
No, you don't know.
And and the big question I always ask to know is, do you know? Yeah, you might know what your basking area. You might even know your UV index. You might know what's your coolant temperatures. Not many people measure cool temperatures, but it's important to know. Especially up in Brisbane, where it could be 40 degrees and nobody puts on the aircon anymore because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
So if your cool temperature is 40 degrees, we got problems.
Yeah.
So I love coming out to collections is because, and that's almost what I do exclusively now, is go out places and see them on site, because I think it's a really great way to manage a collection and not kind of get to that before there's a problem. And I think that's
we were talking about that as well the other day.
Preventative care,
particularly with people with extremely large collections, like 500 plus snakes.
Yeah,
it's not feasible to take them all to the vet. So
no, because and it is expensive, and and if they're healthy, you don't bring them in. So we only see them when they're not healthy, especially the big collections. we get the small collections. They might come in for yearly health checks, which I think is a good idea, but it's certainly not practical.
No.
And I get it. So yeah, if I can go out on site and instead of doing you bring this in and there's a consult and it takes up the half hour. Well, I don't need a half hour to examine a snake.
No.
You don't. You can examine it. I can examine an entire room and check the temperatures and check that and get my head around it and then pull out the animals one by one. And even that's with cleaning in between, you could probably do a room this size in what, 4 hours?
Yeah.
By the time you're done.
Yeah.
And that would be pretty thorough examine on a day. It's 4 hours. So, but if you did it, however much per consult, and time-wise, that's just not possible. Plus, you're transporting a lot of animals together in a small space.
Yeah.
Which increases the risk of spreading disease.
Yeah.
Increases the stress levels. So if I could do that, and so what I do is I do by the hour instead of by the animal, because I can then see all of them during a period of time, and I think that's a really useful way of seeing a big collection. And then when something gets sick, I've already seen it when it was healthy.
Yeah.
And they can bring it in, and that's fine. But it's not the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, you already know that
I've already
animal.
established. I know what the normal was for this animal, and I think that's really important. And yeah, hopefully we can prevent it from coming in the first place. But yeah, I think when you have 600, something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And something,
just the odds of it.
Yeah, 100%. So
yeah, you can't keep that many animals
and
not expect something.
I look at things from a different perspective. So when I look at a pet store, and I've got some great pet stores that get me to come in and check. They get all their animals in. They won't sell them until they've been checked. And it's great. And if they haven't been sold, I come in again and I check them. They don't say that they sell it healthy. They say it's been vet checked, of course. But they're also really critical. And we've got strict guidelines of, I said, we can't sell that because it's not a healthy animal. We need to make a decision. Are we going to treat it? Or is it going to be a long-term issue? Because it's not a pet yet, and it's not fair to put a health condition onto a new pet owner and have them deal with it. Just like a cat or a dog. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So why not a reptile? So that's why, and I love it. I've been doing it for years now, and I get to go in and see hundreds of animals. And before they even get to the general population out there.
Yeah.
And hopefully they go out healthy then instead of,
suboptimal,
we'll call it.
Yeah. That's great to hear that sort of.
It's rare. It doesn't happen a lot.
No, of course.
But those ones I grasp on and I make it doable for them because I think that they need it's still a business and they still need to but I think that the fact that they're willing to have that at all, I'm going to make it worth their while. It's nice.
Because they want to do the right thing, so you've got to have that balance.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's good. So yeah, all sorts of little areas, and
it's cool.
I actually wanted to look to see how many reptiles I get to see in a year. It's like
it'd be a high number.
It's getting crazy, and I think that's the dream. Yeah, that's come true. So
yeah, well, there you go. There you go. Have you got one more story about something venomous that you've seen to finish off with? Put you on the spot here.
I mean, funny enough, a lot of the venomous stuff I see is reproductive issues, respiratory issues, eye issues, especially the mulgans. Always up in Brisbane, at least, get a lot of eye issues.
You were saying that to me the other day as well.
I think it's humidity. I think a lot of the issues I see with the venomous ones are that, especially mulgans, they're a messy snake.
Yeah.
Right? Yes?
Oh yeah.
Nobody disagrees with that. They're messy. They are, even if they're in an 8-foot enclosure, they're big snake.
Yeah.
And what if they're not super easy to clean. You don't want to be interacting a lot if you don't have to be. So, and often I think that the rooms are quite warm. I think the humidity up in Brisbane is quite high. And I think the ventilation in a lot of enclosures is too low.
Yeah.
And I think ventilation with reduced ventilation with high humidity with a snake that likes to shit a lot and smear all over itself, the breeding ground for respiratory infection. And that respiratory goes in the mouth, up the choana, roof of the mouth, that tracks up the lacrimal duct, goes into the eye, get a subspectacular abscess, and those guys lose their eyes more than any other snake venomous snake that I work with.
Yeah, right.
And that is Yeah, I think that's probably the most I see. And then the others, reproductive issues.
Yeah.
And I think I had a Stevens banded recently. That was pretty cool. Um, that I think I completely desexed her. They're not fun surgery. I mean, they're fun surgeries, but they're also
In
not fun,
a way, yeah.
not fun surgeries because you know that they're going to have a lot to go through, but that's going all right. Yeah, I can't say it's, oh, I get a lot of impacted fangs.
Yeah, okay.
So I think our prey items sometimes are not great. So they're not shedding those fangs, and when the one doesn't come out, or they get an infection, it stays in there. The next one comes in. I think I pull out like I have five full.
Oh, wow.
Out of the one pocket. So
Wow.
got those in a jar at home. If you're a vet and you're watching this, when you're doing a cloacal exam, be aware they do swallow their fangs sometimes. Especially not at the other end. I have also checked that you're highly unlikely to get envenomated because the gut will break down protein
Pass through.
or pass through. By the occasion where I have gone through and I've put my glove and you just have a split second of going,
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
shit, right. Call my man up going, so if this were to happen theoretically, what do you think? Yeah, no, you'll be right. I'm like, okay, cool. Because your brain stops thinking at that point. You've been like, okay, how worried do I have to be right now? I wasn't worried that I got bacteria from a fang going through into my finger. I was like, it was just, yeah,
yeah,
plays on your mind.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. This is an interesting one. It's called Orophorus. It's a funny condition, which is tail biting.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so snakes that bite their own tails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just out of a food response, or
no? Well, this is it. There's actually some work being done as to what causes that, and it's usually going to be spinal pain. So they usually have something there, but they haven't proved it all the time. But Orophorus, we do see it in elapids.
Yeah.
Let's skip that a second. What about self-envenomation?
yeah,
Can it happen? I think it can. I don't think it causes them to die. I think you can have some damage there because I've seen snakes who've bitten themselves. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who say that it doesn't happen. Like they're immune to their own venoms.
Yeah, well, depends on what level of immunity though. Like,
Yeah.
it depends on the species. Obviously, like mulgars, like black snakes in general, their venom's a lot more necrotic.
Which is what I see when they get bite themselves.
Whereas, like, you have like eastern browns and stuff more neurotoxic, and like you think there's probably a bit more immunity.
Yeah.
That because it's more tissue damage or anything like that.
I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
Because I see red bellies who bite themselves or have bitten themselves when I've seen necrosis develop.
It probably depends on where the bite happens too. I paired up a pair of red bellies 2 seasons ago. Last season it might have been. And just unprovoked, they weren't doing much after a few weeks. So I went to take the male out, and the male was bigger and just nailed the female. Like, I think it must have been like just below her neck somewhere. Just like nailed her, like chewed. Like when I saw him chew down, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yep.
Fine. Like I maybe a slight amount of swelling.
Okay.
But then I've also heard a mate who saw that happen, but they actually got bitten on the head and it killed him or her. I think it was a female. So, but I think that's probably more almost just like trauma to the brain potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. I've had a couple where they bit on the back where you get this kind of sloughing tissue. And they survive. It's just a nasty wound that comes afterwards, and I don't think it was infection. I think it didn't look like infection. It looked like you're bitten there and it kind of spreads out, tissue dies, and then it healed, it shed, and came back.
Yeah.
I'm just interested because I know there's some differing opinions out there. So
yeah, I mean, I see it a bit in my room, like at home.
Yeah.
But mainly with the tigers. And tigers seem to be the worst of it.
He hasn't bitten himself before. The Colette's has, nothing happened.
Yep.
The Mulga's bitten himself a few times. Just again, the food response. You open it, his tail starts moving and he thinks it's food.
Yeah.
The only one would be the red belly. Again, just bit itself sort of bottom quarter and noticed some slight markings on the scales, but
Okay.
Again,
And you think like almost more often than not that's going to be an envenomation because
Yeah.
food, mostly it's food
response.
So they think, oh, they're going to nail a food item. So you think like most of the time it's going to be an envenomation.
They have super good control over.
Yeah.
If they want to, because if they want to go a dry bite, they can do a dry bite.
Yeah.
They're choosing. Venom's really expensive product, right?
Yeah, it is.
They do not want to use it. They don't have to. So I've always that was just I was reading a paper on the Orophorus and the biting of tails.
Yeah,
because that's a syndrome, and and I've like you've seen them like they go around in circles and
and just
like a dog.
Yeah, and dogs will do it because of pain in the tail sometimes or something weird going on. So it's a very anyway. It was just one of those ones I was like, oh, you're here. I'll ask your opinion. So, because the observation of what happens, I see the odd one that comes to the vet clinic, but how many snakes probably bite themselves and nothing ever happens?
Nothing happens.
So that's why I'm kind of biased, and I'll see the bad things. Nobody's going to bring me their red belly that bit themselves and nothing happened.
No.
Like, why would they do that? So they bring me the red belly that has that. I go, oh yeah, we saw it bite itself and it's got that. Well, maybe it had a wound there to begin with. We didn't notice, and it bit it because it was painful. Maybe,
potentially,
or maybe it caused it, and I don't know which one it is.
And I wonder how many years it takes. Obviously, it's just like the small secretion of that. Every time when they bite prey or something, they obviously still get a bit in their mouth, and whether that somehow like produces like a protection against like self envenomation. I wonder if it's like less in. I mean, it's a rabbit hole, isn't it? Like when they're fresh, like freshly born, and they act like accidentally born, whether they have more effect then. I mean, it's less amount of venom, but like they haven't had exposure to their own venom for as long.
And the venom is very different when they're because they've got different prey items. And that's very cool. That the evolution of venom within an individual to be specialized. So that's where the Venom Lab works on mostly. Is that they're actually looking at the specialization of the venom to their specific prey item.
Yeah,
and that's something that is highly specialized, and so it's evolved over millions of years to get to that exact point where that is perfect for that, and the combination of the venoms and how they're going to use them.
It's nuts when you go into it. Like
it's beyond me, most of it. I'm very high level on that. I don't get into I don't understand the fine detail of it, but it's pretty amazing how specialized it is for that niche that they fill.
And even the amount of like how venom changes in the same species at the same age, like South Australia, that someone did. I'm not sure who did the study. It might have been Brian might have done it, but it was like on the different. They did studies on South Australian or Southern brown, Eastern browns, and then Queensland brown, that sort of area of browns, and like a lot of difference. Yeah, and you see like obviously the size of them too. But I think in a way, I think the southern variants of it were actually more venomous in a certain way for some reason. But then obviously, browns up in Queensland get a lot bigger, so the venom yield is going to be bigger. So it's much for muchness. But it's an absolute rabbit hole.
Yeah, it is. But again, it's nice that somebody's looking at it. So
yeah, absolutely. I reckon we'll wrap it up there. Yeah.
Cool.
Bit the longest podcast we've done so far.
Yeah, we try to keep it about an hour, but it's always good.
If it flows, we let it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And this one's flowed pretty well, I reckon. So
thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's nice to meet you.
No worries. Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, been good having you down.
Yeah. So
again, hopefully next time.
If you want a short one, don't ask me. I talk too much.
Again, hopefully next time you can stay a bit longer and we can actually go out and see some stuff.
Yeah, come in a nice warm time of year too.
Yeah. Oh, you had yesterday. It was 25 and sunny, and then today was.
I see 25. Everything's sleeping in Brisbane. So I might get a common free snake out there or something like that,
but that's about it.
Everything else is asleep. I'm not seeing much more at the moment.
I literally had a snake call today and it was raining.
No, I probably lied. They are out there, but
just not as much. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
We'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for listening. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Cheers.